Lovely.
You're currently on the live screen.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
We head racing yet again over here at the TGR Nation Grand V circuit, and this time at the Okayama circuit, experiencing a couple of circuits beforehand, but this time coming around to a circuit that we've heard a couple people not enjoying as much, but one of my favorites actually, especially for V racing. But welcome into the commentary box. My name is Tristan Herbst, joined by Adam Reed and Jim Cunningham in the production box. But Adam Reed, I mean, how are you feeling for today's race here at Okayama? Sorry, I know you wanted to chat there.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit silent, but I thought I'd just jump in. But the minute you did, the minute I did, you came in. So, yeah, looking forward to Okayama. It's been interesting because we had a really good season last time. I think I covered this round last season. The season's been ultra competitive, especially the fight up at the front. It's been absolutely awesome to keep an eye out for. So, you know, it was a circuit that maybe not many people like, but really do expect a lot from the drivers around here. They'll keep it close, they'll keep it fast, and keep it frantic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look to be missing a familiar name around the circuit here tonight of Gianni Lutsu, currently opposing a threat to that championship standing in P1. Obviously, Zach Rattray-White will be carrying the reigning championship mark from the first two seasons, but here in season number 3, he doesn't look to have his biggest competitor here, but we do also have Mr. Thomas D. Fleming, who you can see on board on the camera right now, who really did oppose a threat at Rutskogen. And so what can he do this time around? We unfortunately missed the previous round, but he is here tonight to oppose as a threat. So technically taking the place there of Gianni Lutsu. Salih Khan is also up there in third, as we currently still finish up this practice session with about 4 or so minutes left. You can see Salih Khan there currently with a 1:48.499, but Zach Rattray-White does still hold off the current P1 in practice with a 1:48.1. But like we've seen before, Adam, especially in the Formula V's, qualifying tends to turn out very different to what we see in practice.
Yeah, definitely. It can massively change about, and you'll be seeing that kind of later on tonight. So many open opportunities for these drivers, and I'm sure they'll love to be attacking this circuit. It will be interesting to see kind of what the ratio is of drivers that do like the circuit and drivers that don't like the circuit, so they can't going round, unfortunately for him. But it does look like we're going to be... I'm really excited to get on the grid. I think when we sort those grids out, when we get our kind of drivers and where the pace is at, I think there's going to be some really good stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at about an 11-turn track here tonight at Okayama. And for those who've ever driven Okayama before, you'll know that it tends to lean in towards the more technical side of circuit. There's a lot less straight, like we saw at VIR South the second last time around. There's currently only one straight that goes down from Atwood towards Hairpin, and then a very short straight that goes from last corner towards first corner. And no, I'm not actually calling it last corner to first corner. That's the actual official track corner names, is last corner and first corner. Pretty original there from the Japanese creators here at Okayama, but we do at least have a couple of names for the rest of the corners, which you will hear throughout tonight's racing. But it's still going to be a good one to watch, though. We've got about 2 minutes left of practice before the drivers have to head on towards that qualifying lap. And currently, what we saw in our pre-season sliding is that we do have relatively good temps here today. The sun is nicely out beaming here on the Japanese circuit of Okayama, and so I'm definitely excited for the racing. 18 degrees Celsius ambient, 19 on the road, so it's actually not the highest temps you might be seeing, but still good enough for some good Formula V racing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of close battles. You know, these drivers aren't afraid to go wheel to wheel unless there's a big risk of, you know, flipping their car. Because remember, look how open those wheels are. So if there's wheel to wheel locking, we're going to either, you know, get snapped off to the side, or you're going to go absolutely barrel rolling, which is not what you want either way. Alan de Gas is over the line, but we're still in this practice phase of this session. The drivers now continue to just dial in for those final moments of this session. Then we'll head on to that all-important qualifying where they'll have 10 minutes to set a lap time. There is Zen Car from the brilliant region of Antarctica. No, I'm kidding. I think he should put that out of last. I'm sure these guys are very close. You know, they know each other inside out. They all have their own separate Discord server that they're all in, so I'm sure you'll be able to find that out somewhere. I believe we may have like a link down in the description or so. If not, I'm sure you'll try and contact one of these drivers. I'm sure they'll send you in the right place.
Yeah, I think if Zencar was in Antarctica, I think he'd be the only person to have internet down in that continent. I don't think we've developed that far yet. I mean, I think we've got a runway down there, and obviously they do use it for some science and further expansion of global warming and stuff, but I don't think it's just ready yet for the Formula Vs to be racing around in Antarctica. So maybe Zencar just trying to switch it up there on his flag. But you were talking a little bit about barrel rolling. We have seen it before in these cars. Where the suspensions intertwine almost. It's almost like fusing two cables together when two cars contact in Formula V. We've seen it a little bit with the net coding where they all of a sudden make contact. And next thing you know, you've got two Formula Vs going around like a fidget spinner, unable to unhook from each other. So let's hope we don't see that here tonight at Okayama. You can see our qualifying, our practice has officially ended and qualifying has started. Martin Visser is currently out on track. Zach Rattray-White also getting out on track. So a couple of drivers will start to get that out lap in, and then we'll head out to the hot laps and the fast laps to get towards our qualifying lap time. So we were looking at I can't actually remember what it was now. Was it a 138.1? I think it was around about for Mr. Zach Rattray-White. But we'll have to see what they can set here. Leo Brongas is also here as well. He's from a different series we've seen on Apex Racing TV, and he's here tonight actually to racing. But there you can see the practice result. It was a 148.1, sorry, not 138. So let's see if Zach Rattray-White can possibly reduce that to a 147, as well as Thomas D. Fleming and Sully Khan, the top three. Can they convert that to a qualifying position?
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be, it's very difficult to get that kind of lap in. There's a bit more pressure on your shoulders, a bit more kind of focusing up to do, but it's a good kind of in swing into it. You don't kind of ruin your momentum by having to load the server. You're not getting thrown straight into this qualifying session. You do have that practice, so you've built a bit of momentum up. You've done all your exploring, you've done all your kind of testing, and now it's just about trying to find any form of limits you can and just use those advantages that you found that use all the speed that you found and kind of input these lap times here. They're already on those opening laps. I think there's purple sectors going on about the circuit, but yeah, keep an eye there on Zach Rattray-White. We know how quick he is in the number 17 Formula V, but he'll really look to try and work his way through some of these last corners. We've seen now there is the number 17 in the mainly white with the red and the black splats on the car. Yeah, through the final two corners he'll go. He'll look to try and maybe get a good lap time in. Daniel Taylor goes to the top, it seems like, with his purple sectors.
Yeah, so we'll see those times slowly start to evolve. Like Adam did say, we've got about 10 minutes on the clock for the drivers to get those lap times in. And even though they've got 10 minutes, they do only have 3 laps that they can set. So not even valid laps. They literally only have 3 laps around this track to set that lap time. So if they invalidate one of those laps, unfortunately it does count towards that lap count. So they do have 3 total laps to try and get a good lap time in. So we'll have to watch how that happens. But Thomas D. Fleming is coming around to finish off a lap. I'm not too sure if he's on a out lap or a fast lap, but I guess we'll see shortly if we do see him clock up towards the top of that timing tower, or if we see him only starting his lap. Nope, that was the end of his first out lap. So he's starting his fast lap now. Daniel Taylor currently out on a fast lap trying to get those times in. He is currently green in both 2 sectors. And from what we hear, he will probably be the first driver to get up on our timing board. We've got a couple of the drivers about a quarter of their way through their first lap, but Daniel Taylor is already over halfway through this track. So coming around now through the next couple of bends and looking to looks like he's coming around about through Piper now up towards Redmond, just coming out of Revolver. He'll slowly approach up towards Hobbs and Mike Knight, and then the final corner to set the first lap time on the board. So you can see on board with him trying to find the ideal racing line there. It's also a very nice color scheme, Formula V, the red, blue, and then obviously the white wheel caps. Very nice flow if you ask me of colors and contrast. So here comes the likes of Daniel Taylor, about 1.9 of the lap throughway, and coming through now towards the last corner. What can he do on the board? He's just about to finish off that lap time and will jump up. We did see a 148 from Zach Rattray-White in practice. Where does Daniel Taylor place himself? Over the checkered flag he goes and looks to be placing a 150.392. So about 2 seconds slower than what Zach did. But here comes Zach. What can he do to set himself up on that leaderboard?
We'll have to see how he does as he heads his way on towards the next sequence of corners. Zach Ratching White goes to the top there. Great lap time, 149.113 there. So a lot of drive trying to go a little bit fast. He transports his way back to the pits. I believe that's due to trying to, I think it's about tyres, I believe it is about tyres. Just trying to reset the tyres, reset kind of the fresh tire. Look at Thomas Fleming there. So if you don't know, actually, Thomas Fleming is a real life racing driver. He actually competes. I think I actually met him this year. He was driving in the European Le Mans series as part of the GTs. He's recently had a test down in Bahrain for the World Endurance Championship, where I believe he tested the championship-winning machinery of the Man-Type First Form, the blue card that, of course, won the championship in the LMGT3 class. So, Tom Fleming's had plenty of experience, especially watching him go from his karting days back in 2002, 2023. So good to see you, Thomas. I think this is a new experience. I think he's quite, he's quite close with Gianni Lutsu, because a little bit of a story. I posted a little clip of I think it was Louis Foster joining us for one of the Australian rounds, and then the only comment was Thomas Fleming on there saying, "Is that the world famous Gianni Lutz or something along those lines?" So good to see you, Thomas Fleming.
Yeah, good to see him indeed. It's an odd thing you would think about, to see a real-life racing driver competing in a Formula V series, but it does also just show you the level of competition that Thomas Fleming would actually be at to try and compete for the championship standings. And like we say, he doesn't have the best schedule in terms of making all the rounds here, because obviously real life will always take preference. So he has missed a couple of rounds here or there so far in Season 3, but he is here tonight and currently crowning on the 148.665. So we did see a 148.1 in our practice from the likes of Rattray White. So who can maybe top that a little bit further? I think we will see slightly faster from these drivers as the track starts to evolve and as they slowly start to get comfortable in the car. But before we go any further, I think we got to also give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this league. Lutsu Driver Performance, for all your driving experience and training needs, especially in the Formula V. You've known Mr. Lutsu and you've seen him around here in the Formula Vs, but Lutsu himself is also a real life racing driver, and he does lots of iRacing coaching, no matter the car, no matter the track setup. So Lutsu Driver Performance, if you do want to catch some tips, catch some training in any of these cars, make sure you make your way there. And as well as Sambo iRacing, who provides the best track guides out on YouTube for, again, any track or any car combo. And we've even got off from a producer who races himself, absolutely the best, being noted down. And so if you're looking for any form of track guide or just struggling in this week's current rotation with a certain car or track, then head over to Sambo iRacing, have a look at what they've got to show, and you might just find yourself a 10th or 2, maybe even a second on your next run through in the next series you compete in. So great stuff there to see the partnerships and sponsorships being shown here at TGR Nation Grand V, already on Season 3 here. So it just also shows the progression of this league. But back down towards our qualifying, we've got about 2.5 minutes or so left of racing. The drivers should be on around about their last laps. And Rattray White, unfortunately, Adam, looks like he's struggling out there a bit.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's all connected up. You can see how close they are. I'm pretty sure you just saw Alex Bluebear Bradley. That's kind of, I'm guessing there's something personal on that one that I don't think any of us know. So we won't touch on that subject too much. Producer Jim saying that's my favorite nickname. So he loves the Boo Bear. maybe we're starting to get a bit of an insight into that nickname.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are heading towards about 1.5 minutes left of racing now. Rattray White comes across for another lap and doesn't look like it's improved, unfortunately. So, no improvement there. 149.1, slight improvement. Borowski also goes up, but look at the purples on the bottom. Rattray White, there it is. There's the update. And 148. Oh, Thomas D. Fleming just completely counters it. I saw 2 purples at the bottom there, and that was Rattray White and Fleming. So there we go. We're seeing a bit better of a stride there from Rattray White, but unfortunately, Fleming keeping him under the water there and beating him out by just about 1/10 basically on this qualifying leaderboard. So, but with about a minute or so left, you're not going to see too many more drivers out. You can see on your left-hand screen all the drivers with the gray timing next to them. It kind of just shows that They're currently done with the session. They've completed all 3 of their laps, and they do not have the capacity nor the laps available to get another lap out. So on board with Alex Bube Bradley down in 12th position. Seeing a couple of yellows down there on his timing sheet as he comes across the last corner. I don't think it's going to be improvement. Usually yellow represents no improvement on personal best. And so Bube Bradley will be sitting down in 12th. Zen Carr is also currently still progressing around the track, as well as Mark Schweening and Andrew James. So Bradley will stay exactly where he is. James, Schweening, and Carr currently the only drivers out, and Fleming just having a bit of a wave to the crowd. Looks like Zen Carr pulls his car in, so it might just be Schweening that we have left currently racing in 15th. And still, again, looking yellow across all 3 sectors so far. And decides to, there we go, the session has officially cut them off. So no improvement there from Mark Schweening. But let's go through your qualifying standings before we head to the grid, where Adam will take you away for it. But it's going to be coming up for you shortly as we wait for them to grid. But here we can see it. Thomas D. Fleming will be starting P number 1 with a 148.2. Zach Rattray White, the championship leader, takes the 2nd position spot for the Eclipse Motorsports team. Ali Degassis in 3rd with Sully Khan in 4th position. The Todd Father in 5th with Adrian Borowski in 6th. Big Dog Babson in 7th position with Benjamin Rogers in 8th. Rodrigo Tostas will take 9th with Leo Brongus down in 10th position. Zen Carr from Antarctica down in 11th, feeling a little bit chilly, and Alex Bube Bradley in 12th position, rounding off our 6th row. Then we've got Sean Kapinski in 13th with Neil Handley in 14th position. Mark Schweening will be in 15th with Adam Morgan in 16th. Daniel Taylor, who's had a little bit of a rough ride this season, down in 17th with Martin Visser in 18th. Andrew James will sit 19th. Matthias Marin, the league runner, down in 20th, not having the easiest night yet so far. And Kirk Stanley will round off the final row of tonight's racing, down in 21st position. The number 22 car just missing out on matching his number 2 position, but at least a slight improvement from 22nd to 21st. But as the cars get gridding, what are our expectations here for T1, Adam?
Yeah, I think that we're going to be in for a superb race. I think that run down towards turn number 1 is going to be massively, massively important. Oh, we got a bit of an invisible car there. One of our cars just gridding up, becoming the centre of attention momentarily. Unfortunately, no car there, meaning no sponsor show-offs. That would have been a little bit nice. But you see there, Tom Fleming on the front row. Can Zach Rattray White do anything? The man that has swapped his Ferrari in the European Le Mans Series and his McLaren GT3 car from the GT World Challenge Series, about to swap his real-life cars for the virtual world with the Formula Vs. The 5 lights are about to go on ahead of the drivers. We go racing here for the first time in Okayama. Fleming goes to cover of Rattray White at the beginning of this one, and already covers that lane off. Look at the left-hand side of the racetrack there, because someone's trying to go around the outside. They all barrel their way in towards turn number 1, really trying to follow in behind. But you'll see there, looks like a clean start for now, but of course he will slowly make their way through. I've seen faster cars head through here because I covered a GT round around here, and in toward the hairpin they'll head for the first time. This is going to start getting a little bit tight there. Again, Fleming having to go on the defensive.
Yeah, great defensive there from Fleming into the first corner there. You saw him jump right, almost like a typical Max Verstappen move to try and cover off from Zach Rattray White, but it hasn't worked out too well because Rattray White is just ever so slightly behind. But like Adam said, very, very clean start towards this race, and it looks like all of our cars have gotten away cleanly. You'll get the live timings board up on your screen shortly on the left-hand side, but as the drivers continue to pulsate towards turn number 1, Fleming is holding off, and Alan Degassis has actually joined in on this fight, moving up towards second. Leo Brongas has had an unfortunate incident. He's dropping all the way down the timings tower, and all the way down to 21st he'll go. We might be able to get a replay there of what happened to Mr. Brongas. And he was in a good fight there towards the mid-pack. Yellow flag as well there. That's a slowdown penalty, so not too sure what's happened there with Brongas, but we might be able to get a replay. But for the time being, Fleming has been able to hold off. Mark Schweening has also climbed up 2 positions, now trying to defend against the likes of Neil Hanley, who's also had a bit of a rough one towards Season 2. He's had a much better ride-off in Season number 3, but can he keep that progression going? Borowski in the green Formula V trying to fight off from Big Dog Babson just a little bit further behind, and Rodrigo Tostas, and yet it's green versus green as they try and come towards last corner. A little bit of sand touching there from the Formula Vs, and that's gradually going to slow them down as they come towards first corner. But great first lap overall for the drivers.
Oh, here comes Zach Rattray White trying to go around the outside of the GT driver. And again, has to just try and tuck in behind. But will he maybe go to the outside? I'm sure these guys had a few laps battle away. Fleming having to really track what Zach Rattray White has been doing. And I had through this little sequence of left-right-handers, just a very, very quick kind of chicane, not even a chicane. And now we see him move in the background, and that is Ted Fathers looking up the inside again. Rattray White's been sent on the outside line here, but I wonder if he's going to get more of a momentum run, because we now head down with the longest straight on the racing circuit. Rattray White will now head there. He's following a line, and who's that kind of out of sync? That's Solly Khan potentially, who's not in any form of tow. Rattray White to the lead here, but will he be able to hang on? He's trying to push Fleming to that inside line, which will create a bit of a tighter route here for him. Again, Fleming will just try and hang on by any inch imaginary. Alan DeGasse is who we're riding on board with here. Would look to try and take third place here, but Zach Rattray White does confirm that new race lead here, but will then be heading down the straight. But Fleming said no, and he throws the car up the inside there. Wrong kind of side to look at, but Rattray White will be on that inside line, but Fleming outside move, contact between the two, and Fathers will potentially try and find a way through on that inside line. Will they be able to hold it throughout the penultimate corner? Yes, they do. Now Fleming is going to be tucking right underneath. I'm pretty sure he's going to be probably ducking in his simulator, as he's been doing all those years in karting. Heading down that long main straight. Rattray White is moving around, trying to break the toe that he possibly can, but in towards the first corner. Fleming with a move, Fleming with the send. It's about the momentum here. Do not touch, boys. Oh my word, two top racing drivers here going battle wheel to wheel. We love to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, just a bit further behind, we can see the Todd father with a completely new colored Formula V that we haven't seen here before, completely overriding this top 3 podium spot. But there is so much action between the top 2, and I mean, Fleming is trying to show that real life experience of arging, barging, keeping the elbows nicely out on the outsides of Zach Rattray White, but unfortunately to no avail. Rattray White just showing the defensive skills, but here comes the Todd father with the slipstream onto the inside line. He's going to be touching a little bit of grass here. It's 3 wide though, coming down into hairpin. Is this going to be possible contact? We don't usually see 3 wide ending too well. Great camera shot though, coming into that corner. It's actually 4 wide as Alan DeGasse makes his way around. He does fall off slightly, and this is the kind of racing you expect to see at Apex Racing TV and the TGR Nation Grand V Series. I mean, what incredible sportsmanship being shown here. The contact is absolutely minimal, but the racing is absolutely on fire. DeGasse moves back up into 3rd position, and Father will try and keep a little bit further behind in his green, neon, and purple car. A little bit further up in front, though, Rattray White trying to get back up towards the rear gearbox of Thomas Fleming, who's managed to create a little bit of breathing room behind, but not enough for him to start relaxing. Further behind, though, Rogers has made a move, though, on Borowski as well. As you can see them just behind, it's green versus looks to be a dark gray and black, but Benjamin Rogers trying to hold on to the back or outside of Rogers. Khan is also just a bit further behind, as well as Babson, and so much fighting going on. You can see the orange numbers on your live timing represent any time under 5/10 within each other, and that's practically our entire grid at this stage. But here comes Sully Khan. Can he dive up onto the inside line? Unfortunately to no avail this time, but will hold on with Rogers just a little bit further behind. Borowski's also lost out a little bit, but can Khan now catch up towards that pack just up in front? Rogers has managed to claim that pack up back, but look at that front pack. It is just constant intertwining fighting, and Zach Rattray White 1/100th of a second. Here comes the dive on the outside. Fleming holding the inside, and it's almost a rear wheel to front right contact yet again. Alan DeGasse trying to find a gap now, coming onto our back straight towards hairpin. I mean, what incredible racing going on over here at the TGR Nation Grand V.
Yeah, it's going to be massive great racing. Here's Rattray White still going side by side. Fleming now down 2 here, because we're going 3 wide once again in towards the hairpin. How is this all going to turn out? Rattray White trying the outside line. Fleming loving that inside line. There's contact between the two, and that sees Rattray White up on all 4 wheels off the ground, and Fleming regains the lead. Rattray White down to 4th place. I'm not sure if he'll be happy with that. I think he'll be throwing a hand and in his simulator here, he'll be behind DeGas's, behind Fathers, and I think Fleming will be very profusely apologetic. I'm sure Alexa Marshall, unfortunately, they can't be here because due to an illness, but I'm sure they're feeling a lot of FOMO at the minute from this absolutely epic racing. So if you are watching, Alexa, please get well soon, and hopefully we'll see you back next week. It looks like Borowski's having well, is that even connection issues? That is jumping around like a kangaroo in Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Borowski, as we can see him just exactly like Adam says, literally jumping around all over the live timings tower. And there he officially starts to drop a little bit further towards where Brongus is, who's actually out of this race. So our first out might be joined as well by Borowski if he cannot get his internet issues sorted. But you'll 100% agree with what Adam was saying. If I feel bad for Alexa because he's missing possibly one of the best fights we've seen. I mean, we've seen the fighting beforehand of what these drivers can do. And it's really action-packed compared to what we've seen in the previous rounds. But this time around, Fleming has been opposing such a threat, and DeGassis has also joined in on that fight, as well as Father, who's just managed to oppose that top three. But can Rattray Wide, after the contact he's had a couple of laps prior, can he retry and fight for that position? Now, alongside with T-Father, into hairpin they go towards Revolver and Piper Cup. Rattray Wide trying to hold on. He goes late on the brakes and looks to take that position. Fleming has also lost it now from DeGassis, but coming into the next corner, he will be holding the inside line as they continue to progress around. Rattray Wide looks to be continuing his stride here, trying to climb back up to where he was sitting before his bump and recontest the current win of this race against Fleming and DeGassis. Father slightly falling off a little bit further back in fourth position, but the top three fight as they come through Piper now towards the final couple corners. Mike, I believe it's called, and then the final one actually just called last corner. Coming through, you can see that Rattray White slowly getting closer and closer to that white and blue gearbox of DeGassis. Fleming holding just a little bit further in front. Remember, no spoilers or any form of downforce assistance in these cars, so the raw slipstream is very, very vital here, and you do not want to touch the sand on the exit there because it really reduces your straight line speed. But this is going to be inaugural, coming down in towards first corner. Watch the slip. Here comes Rattray White alongside DeGassis. A massive pull with the slipstream, but Fleming yet again goes into a defensive manner. Look who's joined the fight though, Adam. It's Sully Khan a little bit further behind, and he is now contesting its first all the way down to fifth. Who's it going to be though with 20 minutes remaining of this race?
Yeah, there is so many drivers involved in this battle. You can also see potentially Rogerson, Big Dog Babson down there in P7 there. Again, Fleming and Rattray White. I did think that Rattray White did have the pace to get himself back up into the lead battle. You know, we've seen how quick he is. He's been taking race win after pole position, all the last two seasons, I think 3 seasons now, because we're into our 3rd season of the Grand V. Again, side by side, it looks like Fleming is on that more preferred inside line, it seems. But again, looks like Rattray White is going to have to just back out of that one and try something different. Again, DeGas is trying to get involved in this one. Todd Father really also trying to see if he can potentially work something out, but not quite having the momentum to get past DeGas. I think these two do need to work together. And indeed, Rogers and Big Dog Babson have now got involved in this one. So top 7 are battling away. Mark Schweenig 3 seconds back. So I don't suspect that he can get involved. He's kind of leading a train of Bradley Gabinski, Carr, Hanley, Morgan, Taylor, maybe even Ricardo Tostes as well. So that's kind of, there's 2 separate battles involved in this one. We've got first down to 7th and an 8th down to 15th, which is absolutely massive kick up a dust there from Father, and they would look to see if it can potentially do anything here. What about Alex Bradley, who's now going to be in the toe of Schweenig? I think he's also looking at Kapinski behind, so you're also battling to go forward, but also having to defend. And there's the Hornet in the background, who's going to make it 3-1 in towards the braking zone. Wow, that could have gone all sorts of bad. That car's off in the gravel trap, so he may have got caught out with something. We'll potentially get a replay at a later stage in this one. Again, we'll have to really keep an eye out for this. Again, Bradley really now seeing if he can potentially push on forward, but look at that, 4 seconds behind the top, I could say lead battle, but it's kind of that top 7 again. Fleming going to put himself and kind of post himself on that inside line like almost a football goal post.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually, I believe it was Zenkar bouncing off the rear side there of Gapinski when he slowed down into first corner, and that just led to a bit of suspension bumping, and the entire front end of Zenkar lifted up into the air. That's why I shouted, "Oh, contact!" Oh, and there is contact as soon as I say it, and there goes Zenkar getting a bit of a gearbox bump there. That's a little bit unfortunate. I really hope that doesn't count as commentator's curse, and Sully Khan off into the grass trap he goes. And super unfortunate for him because he was a real contestant there for that P1 all the way down to P7 fight. And I'm not too sure if we can get a track map up on screen for you just to visualize the split between the grid currently, like the likes of Adam Reed is talking about. You can see it there on the map. You can see first all the way down to about 7th and then 13th. Well, 7th is Mr. Mark Schweening now is actually starting to bind up with that lead battle as the rest behind have started to fight around. But still so much action going around. Schweening is actually pulling away now. He's 1 second away from Morgan, just a bit behind. So it's actually Morgan 8th all the way down to 12th now. And you can see that represented by the map, how it's so compressed on the track map between all of these drivers because of how close they are. I mean, it's literally gearbox to gearbox, but yet again, there's the Hornet of Gapinski trying to chase down on Morgan. But Hanley and Taylor trying to craft a little bit of a diagonal launcher into turn number 1. Can Gapinski hold it, though? It's a little bit of an outside line for Morgan. Gapinski will have the inside, but again, it'll flip towards the outside into the next corner. Neil Handley trying to find the line inside onto the inside of Gapinski. He goes and actually manages to find it, but into the next corner, it's yet again going to flip. And this is what I talk about, the technicality of the circuit, is that once you've made a position, it's a little bit difficult to keep it just due to the amount of times the corner direction changes. So Gapinski, yet again, will take the lead there against Handley. So we might be able to see that over and over again in this race, but we do actually have a bit of a meatball flag there for Fleming down in 6th. What has happened to Fleming? We actually haven't noticed that after focusing on a bit of the downside battles over there, but Fleming has lost his pool over here. He was fighting for P number 1. He's clearly dropped off down to 6th, and I'm not too sure where this contact has happened. We're going to try to find it for you. So here's Fleming still up in 1st. There behind him is Rattray White and De Gasses coming through this next corner. Was there possibly contact somewhere? So it looks like Rattray White holding the outside line. Fleming still on the inside. Was there a tiny tap? And a bit of a netcode tap, if you have to ask me. From that angle, it looked like the wheel actually didn't connect and just spinning the nose of that Formula V into that barrier. And very unfortunate there. Fleming having a dominating lead in this race. Now 5 positions down in 6th position. Yes, yet another replay, possibly another angle for you to see if that tire really did make contact or if we're experiencing a little bit of a net lag issue. And unfortunately just missing, but in my opinion it looked a little bit of a netcode issue, which you do unfortunately see in iRacing. So very unfortunate there for Fleming, who loses out for the time being on that top fight. Here's just the last replay before I pass over again, possibly being able to see it a little bit better here. Yeah, that's definitely a netcode. Definitely a netcode issue there. Nothing in terms of contact between the two drivers. So Thomas Fleming down to 6th, and Rattray White still fighting for the win.
Now means that De Gassis is going to try and make this lead happen. Rattray White did fall down to 3rd at some point, and then he's got himself back up into 2nd. So he's going to now look into the hairpin, see if he can potentially do something. It's going to be a bit of a difficult task for Fleming to achieve anything here, because of course he's got that damage. He's now 1.3 seconds behind Rogers, and then of course he's going to have to try and bridge a 1.2 second gap to the top 3 here. Meanwhile, Zach Rattray White seems to battle away to Gassis. There's a back marker there. I think that's Alex Bradley, I believe. So that might be the cause of that. So you've seen it there's the top kind of 3. Then you got the back marker, and then you just saw both Rogers and Babson in the background. Fleming's trying to chase on here, but it's such a difficult task for him. There was a little bit of a battle going on here. What about Kirk Stanley trying the outside line? Hopefully he'll get a bit more lucky on the kind of the draw in terms of netcode, but yeah, he's got a bit more luckier than Tom did a lap or 2 ago. And he's found himself staying in 12th here, batting for the top 11 as Hanley, the Irishman, looks to try and push on here back to our brilliant silver ranked GT3 driver, but you might have to pit here because of course that damage is still looming over. But I think Tom Fleming might be doing this for a little bit of fun. So yeah, if he gets disqualified, I don't think he'll matter too much on this one. So we've seen a couple of more top level racing drivers. You know, they're into their winter season. They're a little bit lackluster in terms of real life driving. So of course the best they can do is hop on iRacing. We've seen it with Louis Foster. We've seen it now with Tom Fleming. And you're just seeing now the top three Basting going ahead here to Gassis and Fathers, the two Americans up against the New Zealander.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there as well. I mean, just with the likes of Tom Fleming, I mean, we mentioned that he was friends with Johnny Lutu, so I don't think this is as serious as some of the other drivers might be taking it over here. So not possibly too phased about that damage. It's probably also not affecting his car too much if he's being able to hold down in 6th position. But this is an important one. This is a three-way battle down towards Hairpin, and it looks like Todd Father might have the inside line here. De Gassis takes a wide outside swing around, but it looks like Rattray White has lost a double position, and De Gassis getting a very nice overtake up and towards the inside line there. Todd Father will lose out just down into 2nd position, and Rattray White will have to try and catch up now because he's just lost 2 positions in the span of 2 corners coming out of Piper now up towards the final couple of corners and chicanes. And for the time being, De Gassis holds the lead of this race. Father will try and continue that momentum, and further back we've still got Zen Carl pushing on towards the back of Daniel Taylor and Neil Hanley, who we were speaking about just prominently earlier, down in 14th. He's got the likes of Sully Khan, who we unfortunately saw a bit of a tap there happening earlier. He's down in 15th right now, trying to make up for the position losses. But we are officially well past our halfway mark in this race, just at the 18-minute mark, with about 12 minutes or so left of racing. And this is where the action is going to start to get quite immense. This is where the cars are slowly going to get towards the end of the race, and where the drivers are really going to have to put that pressure on. And here comes the pressure I'm talking about, because Rattray White dives up onto the inside line yet again, trying to reclaim the lead of this race like he held in 2nd at the start, trying to fight it out with Fleming. I wonder if Fleming can fight this up in the next 12 minutes. It's going to be a very difficult task for him down in 6th position, but if he can, we might see even more competition up in front. Todd Father steering deeply into the gearbox there of Rattray White, trying to find a way around yet again to push him up towards 2nd position, and Alan De Gassis is able to run away with this for the time being, as Rattray White and Father keep on fighting. De Gassis already pulling a 7/10 gap here down the back straight. Slipstream is not going to be as strong. You can see it's definitely still there as we break down into the 6/10 mark, but it's not as strong as what you would typically see if drivers were closer. So getting about 2/10 closer for Rattray White is not going to be enough, though, to make an overtake into the next corner. But the Todd Father definitely within overtaking position here on Rattray White. So keep your eyes peeled, because the top 3 can change imminently within the next couple of laps. Down there with Adam Morgan as he tries to hold on from the likes of Schweening and Tostas, who are really starting to prove a little bit of a bother behind him in his rearview mirrors. The red and black Formula V trying to hold out the number 76, but he does have Mark Schweening, who's also got a lot of aggression packed into that Formula V, and Tostas just a bit further behind. So the drivers all trying to maintain their pack around the rest of the track, but with 10 minutes left to go, this is where true colors are going to start to shine.
Yeah, indeed. There's still so much in opportunity. We're about to hit 2/3 of this race, and look at that, the top 6 are now back into kind of in formation. Fleming's actually got past Babson, and he's got rid of that meatball flag, so obviously something is kind of maybe repaired, or unless we've got a bit of a question mark over that one. I'm hearing a bit of humming from production. Somebody had to clear it, he says. We speculating that there might be an Stewart down here, maybe a god somewhere. I don't know, but what does mean now that this is going to be a little bit more tighter here. What about Rattray White down in towards the head, and we go one of many on this racing circuit. Rattray White will continue to push on forward, and will now look sitting 2nd here, and you'll see he'll be able to make it 3 wide. Will Fathers. And this will continue to close up. You know, we've got 9 minutes left. There's no reason why this won't be able to close up. Big move there by Father to try and switch it to the inside line. We've seen with Fleming, he's used the inside line before. Will Fathers be a bit more later on the brakes? No, Rattray White's going to sweep it around the outside, because the car is all about momentum, and that is what it's exactly showing here. So it looks like the top 4 are going to be embroiled and embroiled in a big old tussle here. Fleming a second back. They now head their way into this final sequence. We go. Milton Gases maybe even have an opportunity to win. He was leading at one stage after probably the two fastest drivers in this lobby did collide with each other. He then took the lead and now he finds himself in third place. So this is going to go all race long.
All race long indeed, and with only 8 minutes left, there isn't much of a race left here actually. So the drivers really need to start to make their action points valid within the next 8 or so minutes. And we're looking at about a minute, almost 2 minute lap times here actually. So roughly 4 or 5 laps of racing. So the drivers really need to start picking their battles. But Todd Father has been able to switch around. While he was speaking at him, we've actually had a complete switch around because Zach Rattray White has reclaimed the throne there in P number 1, and Todd Father will take second. Alan Degassis has moved back completely down towards third position, and now under threat though from Benjamin Rogers down in fourth position. Thomas Fleming 1.2 seconds behind, not within a fighting distance just of yet, but Todd Father definitely is onto the outside line into the technical second corner. Obviously there is a couple of corners there left, but it is the second hairpin here coming through towards the back straight up towards the next hairpin. So they just actually came out of Atwood Curve. So it's more of a curve than a hairpin, now coming towards the actual hairpin and then up towards Revolver. But it is Todd Father now claiming that lead with the slight increase of speed from the slipstream. Alan Degassis and Bob Rogers following very closely. It's wheel to wheel though between the top two. But can Rattray White keep the inside line though? It's very close. And almost Todd Father losing a position from behind from Degassis and Rogers if he isn't careful enough. So Rattray White trying to hold on a little bit further up in front. What can he do to keep this race completely under control? 23 minutes into this race, 7 minutes left. A. Morgan has lost 2 positions though. He's lost a lot of positions. What's happening to A. Morgan? Down in 16th position, dropping off from Visser, Hanley and Khan. And super unfortunate there to see it at this late into the race. And almost a massive dive there for the likes of Todd Father, actually almost making contact with the rear side there of Rattray White. And now given an opportunity for Alan Degassis to make a dive up, and he knows that was an error because he's lost out a lot of time from that one. Let's have a bit of a replay here. This might be with Adam Morgan, and indeed it is. So further down, coming through the back straight up towards hairpin, was there a possible lockup or just losing control? And indeed it was. Overspeed into the corner, and the Formula V being notorious for its on-the-spot fidget spinner rotation and facing back towards the other side of the track. Matthias Marin says hello as Adam Morgan tries to recover his car, the red and black Formula V. But continuing on strong, Zach Rattray White towards Alan Degassis and Todd Father. This is going to be the continuous fight as we've seen for now, because guess who's joined in on this top fight? It is indeed Thomas Fleming, taking that 1.2 second gap down to 3/10 behind Babson. So what can we see the real life driver do in the next 6 minutes of racing? Adam, do you think that Fleming can do it, or at least a podium here in this race?
I hope a podium. I think that would be really good for the one-off driver. But again, I believe we might have a reverse race. I might have to double check on that one. It's Sully Khan now looking to go around the outside after his earlier misdemeanors during this session. We'll try and push on forward, see if we can potentially just do anything to get this going. And they'll make their way down that long straight. Let's see what the slipstreaming is looking like here, because there's cars absolutely everywhere. Proper side-by-side action, almost going 3 wide in fact, and Khan will now look to potentially try and go to a top 10. But yeah, looks like the 4 Americans are separated by the bread being the New Zealander, and the bread. Oh, who's that signing off? Whoa, that might have been Taylor. Yeah, that's going to be a massive shame there for Daniel Taylor, dropping positions for him. Sully Khan again still looking hopeful for that top 10. He's got Kieran Stanley and Zach Carr ahead of him, but again, look at this straight. It's Degassis from Fathers, from Rogers, from Babson, from Fleming, all fighting it toe to toe here with 4 minutes remaining.
There was a bit of a bump draft there actually from Fleming. I saw him just pressing onto the backside there of Babson. Not too sure if he wanted to pull out, but he actually did start to rub against the gearbox there. But for the time being, really struggling to get past Babson. Yeah, great defense coming in, and you can see Fleming on the nose cam here, looking up any alternative line he can compared to Babson, trying to fight the speed. There he gets an opportunity, and up into the next corner he goes. Great overtake. And up towards Atwood Curve, now claiming that 5th position and trying to creep up towards that final podium spot. He's got Rogers and Father just a little bit further up ahead. Unfortunately, looks like Rattray White has run away with this for the time being. 1.5 seconds away now from De Gassis. So all eyes on Thomas Fleming for the final podium spot. I think if all goes well for Rattray White, he might have the lead locked down. But it is all up for grabs here for the likes of Thomas Fleming. He's up into 4th position. He's made it yet another position, but now very defensive from Alan De Gassis, who decides to block him off completely. Now pushing up towards 2nd position, and the fighting is all over here for the final 2 slots of the podium. It is the likes of Father and Rogers trying to hold on from De Gassis just a bit further behind. Fleming has lost yet another position as he moves down to 5th. There you can see Rattray White quite far up in the distance, coming through the likes of Piper, trying to pull away from this pack. But for the time being, what can Fleming do? Rogers in the slightly blue matriculated grey and black Formula V does see the pressure of the real-life driver from behind, but can he hold on to it with the next 3 minutes left of racing? We're not too sure if that's going to happen, but coming through the last curve now, what can the drivers do? Watch the timing board now for that slipstream effect. It's going to be extremely strong, and you'll see Alan De Gassis really start to have a bit of a negative effect. But Todd Father completely sells himself away with a bit of a sand touch there, and it's now 3 wide. There's somebody going slow on the line. That could have been an error, but thankfully pulling away. Myself and Adam both were like, that could have ended in a bit of a collision. But look at the dive. I mean, my goodness. Fleming from 5th up into 3rd position, now fighting for 2nd after having a contact and moving down to 6th. This is showing the incredible skill of racing that we've got here. Todd Father trying to catch up towards Rogers. There is just fighting up and down here and up towards Atwood Curve. It is Fleming who holds that final spot of the podium.
Yeah, indeed. I think he was just trying to back up these two to then try and get a run, but he's already all over the back there of De Gassis. He's gone through on De Gassis, it seems like, but he's now going to give a whole hunk of slipstream here to Rogers. You're just seeing in the background there, I think he's getting pushed along there by the 007. This is absolutely superb. Bonk. There you go. And now he's going to try. Who's that up the inside there? Is that going to be fast up the inside or down in towards the hairpin there? This could have got so close. We've got 2 laps in it. Look at the 3 wide in the background. How have they managed to squeeze 3 cars through there? I know the Formula Vs are little tiny single-seated, but I didn't realize they were that small to fit 3 cars on that exit. You see there, Zach Rattray White absolutely leading with a big old commanding in that one. And what about Fathers in this one? Again, De Gassis is going to look for any opportunities here. The Englishman feeling all the pressure from the 4 Americans involved in this one. The 5th being Kapinski, who's 8.5 seconds back, so he's going to be in a bit of no man's land. Also, Alex Bradley there. Unfortunately, black flag for Mr. Boo Bear.
Yeah, super unfortunate. I believe the black flag is just going to be a drive-through penalty. Or it might be a complete elimination, but I think it is just a drive-through penalty that he'll have to serve as he comes through, but definitely going to be due to track limit extension warning. Unfortunately, reaching the amount of X's to give himself a drive-through, and with just about 30 seconds left, that has really killed any opportunity to make up any position. But down in 19th, unfortunately, there wasn't much opportunity down there for him in any case, so super unfortunate for himself. But Thomas Fleming 2 tenths away from Father, and Father's just trying to get this final get up into that final podium spot. Well, he's got the final podium spot, but he's trying to break up into 2nd position, and you can see he's trying to find any possible way to get past Fleming. But playing his cards right is Fleming, and up towards the top you can just see Rattray White on the back straight coming towards Hairpin and Revolver. I mean, look at the distance covered, and we might see a position here from Rogers behind De Gassis. As they come towards Hairpin, we might be seeing a bit of a change-up, but can Fleming hold on to this? Because here comes Todd Father on the outside line. Will it be a defensive hold from Fleming? Indeed, it will be. And I knew there would be a bit of contact. Indeed, there was. And De Gassis making contact with the gearbox there of Todd Father, thankfully not getting hit into neutral, as we've seen that before with the gearbox being right on the rear side of the car. But for the time being, Fleming from Rogers still holding on strong. We have hit the 30-second mark, which means that the leader is probably on white flag territory. Will Zach Rattray White be coming across to see the checkered flag? I believe he will. And coming across through Mike now towards the last curve, the last bend here of this round of racing at TGR Nation Grand V. It's been an absolutely extraordinary one to watch, and the fighting has been so immense between our pack here, between 2nd all the way down to 7th. But for the race win, it is going to be Zach Rattray White who will take the checkered flag home. P1 for the reigning champion into the P1 slot. Fleming down in second position will manage to hold on strong here, and Todd Father will take fourth position, unfortunately losing out from Rogers on that final. Lots of contact on the final there. Babson will take fifth with the Gases in sixth. Gapinski will take seventh, Schweening in eighth, Rodrigo Tostas down in ninth, Khan in 10th. I mean, what a magical race we saw here between those top fights. And my goodness, I mean, it's great to see, because we see this kind of racing all the time, but tonight was just absolutely extraordinary at Okayama.
Yeah, indeed. I can't really fault Okayama, especially when there are drivers out there that say they don't really like the circuit. It might be a little bit boring, but might be a little bit tight. But I think with V Racing, it's absolutely brilliant. You see some of almost some of the best action here. I wouldn't say it's entirely, maybe top 5, top 3, but I think it's something to kind of ask some of the drivers here, so that might be one of the questions to pose in the interview. Zach Rattray White takes the win here, 5 seconds ahead of Tom Fleming, ahead of Ben Rogers and Todd Father. Big Dog Babson at home in 5th with Alan DeGasses. Unfortunately for him, he'll finish home in 6th with Sean Kapinski and Mark Schweening, Rodrigo Tosses, and Sully Khan fighting himself up into the top 10 with Neil Hanley, the Irishman, in 11th. Kirk Stanley in P12, followed by Daniel Taylor and Martin Visser with Zen Carr, Adam Morgan, Andrew James, and Matthias Marr in the Canadian. Then looking further down, it is a DNF, it's a black flag there for Alex Bradley. The 2 DNF being Adrian Borowski in the very early stages, and Leo Brongas, who didn't get past, I believe it was lap 2 of that race. So happy for some, maybe a little bit more disappointing for others. But once again, the Formula V's had an absolutely fantastic showing around the Japanese circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've fortunately got a couple of drivers in interview already over here, but I'll leave Thomas Fleming to you, Adam. I'm going to take Zach Rattray White here, who's quite familiar with the comms buck at this stage. Zach, you are live on air here at the Apex Racing TV after that round, the TGR Nation Grand V. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, doing all right. Fun race.
Yeah, absolutely fun race. I mean, just talk us through there. You had quite a lot of competition with Fleming. How was the race as a whole through the whole 30 minutes?
Oh, it looked like it was a bit more aggressive than what I think both of us wanted. I think it was a couple taps here and there, maybe even a bit more than a tap, but I think it was Netco, the one that ultimately killed him. But yeah, I think it was probably necessary after what he did to my boy Gianni Lutzu back at Charlotte, because he completely killed him there. So I think whatever happened to him today was probably warranted.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, I mean, we just wanted to talk about your crash towards the beginning of the race, where we saw you take a bit of a launch. I mean, what happened there?
Oh, I just wanted to do a quick bunny hop. I think that's yeah. Everyone rode a scooter when they were little, so it's the first trick you learn is a little bunny hop. So yeah, just wanted to do that in the Formula V.
Yeah, getting a little bit of the suspension bounce. That's great. But I mean, how did Okayama feel as a whole? I mean, obviously Okayama being known for being a bit of a technical circuit with continuous corner direction changes. How did the Formula V feel in terms of competition and just longevity?
Yeah, I think in terms of the V, especially in our calendar, it's probably the super speedway of all the tracks we go to. So keeping the speed up and keeping the rolling speed through the mid corner is very important. Especially with the exit speed in this car, you pretty much got no power, so you kind of need to keep that mid corner speed up and yeah, just stay in the draft. As you can see, it was very powerful yet again. So as soon as I got in front, everyone started paddling and yeah, dropped them fairly quickly.
Absolutely. And so next week we head to Alton Park. What are your thoughts on next week's racing?
I'm gonna have to leave that to Gianni because I won't be here next week, unfortunately. So yeah, that's
Okay.
that's one I'm gonna have to miss. Obviously, he wasn't here tonight, so I got to gain some points back on him for now. But hopefully, he shunts next week as well, so I can get some more points back. But no, of course that probably won't happen. He's far too good. Nah, do we know what layout it is for Alton?
I believe
long
it's
one?
the South Island.
No, okay, yeah. Either way, it's going to be a massive draft it again. It's quite hilly, so whoever's leading that train, rest in peace to them. Yeah.
And then finally, any thoughts or anybody you'd like to mention before you head out for tonight's racing?
No, commiserations to Thomas, but yeah, I'm sure he'll have some nice words for V in a sec.
Oh, absolutely incredible. But thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. And yet again, massive congratulations for taking P1 home here at Okayama.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that was your race leader. I'm going to drag in P2 for you, Mr. Adam, and then we can go through Thomas Fleming.
Thomas, welcome to Apex Racing TV. Welcome to the commentary booth for the first time. So, of course, you're known for your GT3 driving, but you're switching to a virtual Formula V car. How come?
Well, I mean, it's just a career move that sort of makes sense, the big names in GT racing, who to pick? Your Gianni Lutzus, your Jamie Christensens, got Eddie Beswick, big GT driver. They all want to go into the heights of Formula V in the sim world. That's where you get paid the big bucks. That's where you find some of the girls as well, and that's the sort of life I want to live. So here I am.
You look so quick in qualifying there. Kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, sort of hopping into a sort of race like this with no practice, and then putting it on pole versus Zach, who's been playing this in a bathtub all week, is it's pretty natural for me, to be fair. Zach's not a guy with that much ability, so I don't think there's not too much to be said on that front. Just doing my job.
Of course, you did.
I mean, I was. But the meatball flag I sort of endured was down to Zach's doing. From what I heard, he was repaying for his boyfriend Gianni Lutzu, even though it was outside suicide on his own accord. So I think I would have had that race sewn up with Zach in my back pocket as he usually lives, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. Hopefully, there's some adjudication to come forward, or at least I'll give my own adjudication next race.
Yeah, of course. You had a massive fight back as well from sixth place. You've taken loads of podium this year. I've seen you take a podium at Silverstone. Yes, I was there, waiting for you in the paddock. Waiting for all the drivers, of course. But of course, this one kind of tops them all. Would you say?
Well, I mean, this is like one of the comeback stories of the century, I'd say. I've got a very damaged car, limited cornering ability, no straight line speed. And, thanks to Big Dog Babson being his little pup, he nurtured me and got me back to the front, believed in me when no one else could. And, TGR Nations really provided me with the setup today, even though with the damaged car, I was able to get back to the front. So, unfortunately, Mr. Allen was too fixated on finishing a glorious P2 for us to catch back up to a limping Zach, it has to be said, with his speed. So yeah, but no, overall, another good haul of points once again for a championship I've missed half of the year of. So I'm going to be looking to position myself really well for maybe the last round to come in the top 16.
Yeah, will you potentially be at all? Like, I don't believe you will, because of course, unfortunately, your very good friend Zach Ratcho White won't be there, but maybe get a little bit of practice before absolutely sending him to Narnia for the final round. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, driver like me doesn't need any practice, obviously, right, guys? So, well, no, I'm in it for the love of the game. We've just got to work some contract stuff out with TGR, see if they can up my money, and then if we can do that, then I'll be on the grid for the next race.
Absolutely awesome. Before you go, is there anyone you want to shout out?
Yep. Another thank you to Big Dog Babson, Big G for his ever-loving support. Who else? Todd G, Big Todd Father. Lots of love for that guy. He's one of the porn industry and my own favorites. So he is mega. And apart from that, just want to thank you guys for putting on a mega show. And yeah, love you lots.
Love you too. Go celebrate that one, Thomas, and we'll
Yeah.
take care of you. Hopefully, I'll get to see you next year if you're covering ELMS
Cheers,
next year.
guys. Thank you very much.
Take
It's been a
care.
pleasure. See ya. Bye bye.
What a character that man is, and proving
What a boy!
setting the bar higher for the final interview. But let's bring in the final interviewee of the night, Mr. Benjamin Rogers, who snatched the final podium spot on the final lap. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing well, gentlemen. It's good to be in the booth with you, and it's finally good to snag a podium here in the Grand V Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk us through that snatch, because I think we can all classify it as a snatch, because you really did take that on the final couple of moments.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we know that we're not the quickest in quali. We know that we don't have the quickest raw pace out of the guys in these field. I mean, my goodness, you have Zach and Johnny and Tom Fleming and some of these other guys in here. So we knew that we were going to have to be smart and use the draft that the Formula V provides at all the tracks it goes to. So yeah, we sent it kind of near the end there, and we're quite happy with the result we were able to pull together.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, talk us through, how did the Formula V just feel longevity-wise compared to the start of the race towards the end?
Yeah, I mean, most of us are used to Formula Vs in the official races, where it's a pretty short race, so you don't really deal with any tire fall off or anything like that, or fuel load changes. But once you run more than a few laps in this beyond the normal official lap time, yeah, you start feeling a bit of tire slide. You start feeling the car lighten up from the fuel burn. So you have to adjust. You have to be a little bit more cautious going into the braking zones, but at the same time, the aggressiveness starts ramping up, right? Because you're near the end of the race. You're trying to snag those positions, and people like Kieran Shanks and Louis Foster have always told me just brake later. And so it's trying to find that point where you can go in as far as you can without locking up and taking somebody with you.
Absolutely incredible. And will you be joining us next week for Alton Park, South Island?
Well, that's the plan. Haven't been able to make as many of these races as I was hoping to this season. We have had a kind of a topsy-turvy V result calendar over the past official season, as well as some of the things like the SDCA runoffs. But this was a good kind of capstone to the last couple of weeks. We're trying to get back into these cars, and snagging a podium in something as prestigious as the Grand V Series is always is a highlight to the weekend.
Absolutely incredible. Well, is there anything further you'd like to say, anybody you'd like to shout out or thank before you head out?
Yeah, I want to thank all the boys, TGR Nation, all the boys and girls back at the factory who make this possible. Thanks to all the sponsors and everyone that puts us on. Thanks to you guys in the broadcast booth as well. This is always a good series to go wheel to wheel in, because quite honestly, a lot of the official Formula Vs can get very wrecky, and it's always good to race with guys that know what they're doing, and it's always good to go wheel to wheel and get bumpy going into some of these quarters. So it's always a good time.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, the competition is great, yeah, but we hope to see you next week at Alton Park, South Island. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Sounds good. Take care.
And that was our final interviewee of the night, Mr. Benjamin Rogers, snagging that third position for tonight. But we have run slightly over time, so Adam, I'm just going to ask you final thoughts on tonight's racing and what you expect next week at Alton Park.
Tonight's racing, absolutely awesome. I put it in our little chat, but that interview with Tom Fleming might be one of my all-time ever favorite interviews ever. Honestly, a great guy to talk to as well, when he's especially when he's in the zone and when he's kind of a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, on to Alton Park, that should be a really good one. If I do ever cover for one of you two, it will really feel like home, especially as someone who's been there in real life.
Well, I mean, you probably would. You probably would be covering, because I won't be there next week. So you might be covering unless somebody else is there. But that is officially the end of tonight's racing here at Okayama. Like we've been mentioning, we'll see you next week on the 29th at Alton Park, South Island. Same time, same place at Apex Racing TV. My name is Tristan. My name has been Tristan Herbst, joined in the commentary box by Adam Reed, and our production manager who's been giving you the awesome camera angles here tonight, Jim Cunningham. Thank you so much for being us here tonight. If you haven't joined the race, please make sure to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week for the next round. Have a great night further. Cheers.